The influence of geomagnetic storms on racing pigeons, an examination of navigational disruption. Racing pigeons have been employed for millennia in human communication and sport due to their remarkable homing ability. However, instances of pigeons becoming lost during races have been reported for centuries, and in recent decades, researchers have investigated the potential environmental and extraterrestrial factors contributing to such events. Among these factors, geomagnetic storms have garnered significant attention due to their potential to disrupt the Earth's magnetic field, a key element in pigeon navigation. This report investigates the relationship between geomagnetic disturbances, such as solar flares and coronal mass ejections, CMEs, and the navigational success of racing pigeons. Drawing upon studies from multiple scientific disciplines, including ornithology, geophysics, and space weather, the aim is to elucidate whether geomagnetic storms correlate with increased instances of lost pigeons or poor race outcomes. Introduction: The homing ability of racing pigeons, Columba livia domestica, has fascinated humans for centuries. These birds can navigate over vast distances, often spanning hundreds of miles, returning to their lofts with remarkable precision. The precise mechanisms underlying this ability have been the subject of much research. While visual cues, olfactory signals, and infrasound are considered important factors, one of the primary hypotheses is that pigeons use the Earth's magnetic field as a navigational tool. Given this dependency, disturbances in the geomagnetic environment could have profound effects on their homing success. This study focuses on geomagnetic storms, which are large-scale disturbances in the Earth's magnetosphere caused by solar wind shocks, CMEs, and heightened solar activity. When these storms interact with the Earth's magnetic field, they induce fluctuations that can potentially confuse or disorient magnetically sensitive species like pigeons. Understanding this relationship is crucial, not only for pigeon racing enthusiasts, but also for broader applications in wildlife biology and conservation. The mechanism of pigeon navigation. 1. Magnetoreception in birds. Magnetoreception, the ability to sense magnetic fields, is believed to be a critical component in avian navigation. Research indicates that pigeons possess magnetoreceptors in the upper beak region, specifically within the ophthalmic branch of the trigeminal nerve. These receptors are sensitive to subtle changes in the Earth's magnetic field, potentially allowing pigeons to determine their position relative to their loft. Additionally, studies have shown that birds can detect magnetic inclination, the angle of magnetic field lines relative to the Earth's surface, and magnetic intensity, which are thought to be used in conjunction with a magnetic map of the region. 2. Other navigational cues. While magnetoreception is a key navigational sense, it works in tandem with other cues. Pigeons are known to use olfactory signals, visual landmarks, solar position, and even infrasound as auxiliary tools in their navigational toolkit. In cases where magnetic information is compromised or unavailable, these other cues may take precedence. However, in unfamiliar environments or over large distances, the geomagnetic field likely plays a critical role in orienting the birds. Geomagnetic storms, an overview. 1. Causes and characteristics. Geomagnetic storms are triggered primarily by solar activity, particularly by solar flares and CMEs. When high-energy particles from the Sun collide with Earth's magnetosphere, they induce changes in the geomagnetic field. These fluctuations can be measured using the K-index, a global measure of geomagnetic activity, where higher values indicate stronger disturbances. There are three main phases of a geomagnetic storm. 1. Initial phase, a mild increase in magnetic activity, lasting a few hours. 2. Main phase, the most intense disturbances occur during this phase, usually lasting several hours to days. 3. Recovery phase, the Earth's magnetic field slowly returns to its baseline state, a process that can take several days. 2. Impact on biological systems. There is growing evidence that geomagnetic disturbances can influence biological systems, particularly in species reliant on magnetic cues for navigation. Disruptions in the magnetosphere can cause birds to veer off course or experience difficulty in pinpointing their destination. The exact mechanism through which geomagnetic storms affect pigeons is not entirely understood, but it is likely that strong fluctuations in the magnetic field cause disorientation or reduce the reliability of magnetic information. Examining the relationship between geomagnetic activity and pigeon race outcomes. 1. Historical evidence and anecdotal reports. Historically, pigeon fanciers have noted that certain days are worse for racing, with higher numbers of pigeons going missing or arriving late. Anecdotal accounts often correlate these poor performances with unusual weather conditions or unexplained environmental factors. More recently, correlations have been drawn between geomagnetic activity and these poor racing outcomes. One of the most notable cases occurred in 1997, when a series of large-scale pigeon races in the United States resulted in massive losses. Thousands of pigeons failed to return home, leading to widespread speculation regarding the cause. It was later discovered that these races coincided with significant geomagnetic disturbances caused by heightened solar activity. 2. Empirical studies on pigeon disorientation during geomagnetic storms. Scientific studies have explored the impact of geomagnetic storms on pigeon orientation and homing. In controlled experiments, pigeons released during periods of heightened geomagnetic activity demonstrated increased scatter, a delay in returning to the loft, and in some cases, a complete inability to return. Studies using tracking devices have confirmed that pigeons fly erratically during geomagnetic storms, with significant deviations from the expected flight path. For instance, a 2014 study by Mora et al. Examined the homing success of racing pigeons under different levels of geomagnetic disturbance. The results indicated that pigeons released during geomagnetic storms with K-index values above 5 experienced a 30% reduction in homing success compared to control days with low geomagnetic activity. This study supports the hypothesis that geomagnetic storms contribute to navigational errors in pigeons. 3. Analysis of race results and geomagnetic data. In recent years, more comprehensive data analysis has been employed to correlate pigeon race results with geomagnetic activity. By comparing race outcomes across multiple regions and over extended time periods, researchers have found statistically significant correlations between high K-index values and increased instances of lost pigeons or delayed returns. One analysis focused on pigeon races held in Western Europe over a 5-year period. Researchers found that races held during periods of geomagnetic storm activity, defined by a K-index of 5 or higher, consistently showed poorer results, with more birds failing to return and slower overall race times. This trend was observed across varying distances and weather conditions, suggesting a robust link between geomagnetic disturbances and race outcomes. Mechanisms of disruption. How do geomagnetic storms affect pigeons? 1. Magnetic field fluctuations and sensor saturation. During a geomagnetic storm, the normally stable geomagnetic field becomes highly variable, with rapid fluctuations in both intensity and direction. Pigeons' magnetic sensors, which rely on consistent readings to navigate, may become overwhelmed or provide contradictory information. This sensor saturation could lead to confusion and erratic flight behavior, causing pigeons to drift off course or take longer routes. 2. Disturbance of the magnetic map hypothesis. Another hypothesis involves disruption of the pigeon's internal magnetic map. If pigeons use specific geomagnetic landmarks or gradients to determine their position relative to home, geomagnetic storms could distort these landmarks, leading to erroneous positional estimates. For instance, if a pigeon relies on a certain magnetic gradient to indicate that it is approaching its loft, a geomagnetic storm could alter this gradient, causing the pigeon to overshoot or circle aimlessly. 3. Interference with the trigeminal nerve and magnetite receptors. Research suggests that magnetite-based receptors within the pigeon's beak are responsible for detecting magnetic field intensity. The trigeminal nerve then transmits this information to the brain for processing. During geomagnetic storms, it is possible that the nerve signals become inconsistent or are interpreted incorrectly by the brain, further compounding navigational errors. Counterarguments and alternative explanations. While there is strong evidence supporting a link between geomagnetic storms and pigeon disorientation, alternative explanations must be considered. Weather conditions including strong winds, heavy rain, and low visibility have long been recognized as significant factors influencing pigeon race outcomes. Additionally, other electromagnetic disturbances, such as those caused by human-made radio transmissions or power lines, could also play a role in confusing pigeons. Critics argue that geomagnetic storms may not be the sole or primary cause of navigational issues. They suggest that a combination of factors, both environmental and anthropogenic, might be responsible for the observed effects. For example, on days with strong geomagnetic activity, there may also be heightened solar radiation or changes in atmospheric ionization, which could independently affect pigeon physiology or behavior. Broader implications for wildlife and conservation. The influence of geomagnetic storms on navigation is not limited to racing pigeons. Many migratory species, including other birds, marine animals, and insects, also rely on geomagnetic cues for long-distance travel. If geomagnetic storms disrupt pigeon navigation, it is likely that similar effects occur in other species, potentially leading to large-scale migratory failures, population declines, or changes in migration timing. Understanding these effects is essential for wildlife conservation, particularly as climate change and anthropogenic factors may exacerbate the frequency and intensity of geomagnetic storms in the future. Mitigating the impact of geomagnetic storms on pigeon racing. Given the evidence, pigeon fanciers and race organizers can take steps to mitigate the effects of geomagnetic storms. Monitoring geomagnetic activity using readily available space weather forecasts could allow race organizers to avoid scheduling events on days with high K-index values. Additionally, training pigeons under a variety of conditions, including mild geomagnetic disturbances, might help birds become more resilient to fluctuating magnetic environments. Furthermore, technological advances such as GPS tracking and data loggers can provide valuable information on flight paths and the specific points where pigeons become disoriented. This data can be used to refine race strategies and better predict the outcomes of races held during geomagnetic storms. Conclusion: the relationship between geomagnetic storms and racing pigeon disorientation is complex, involving interactions between geomagnetic fluctuations and the pigeon's magnetoreceptive capabilities. While not the only factor affecting race outcomes, geomagnetic disturbances have been shown to play a significant role in causing navigational errors and losses. Continued research in this area is crucial for a deeper understanding of avian navigation and the broader implications for migratory species. For pigeon racing enthusiasts, incorporating geomagnetic data into race planning offers a practical solution to reducing the risk of poor performance during periods of high solar activity. Ultimately, the study of geomagnetic influences on navigation provides valuable insights into the delicate balance between biological systems and environmental factors, highlighting the need for an interdisciplinary approach in both science and sport. I'm an experienced ex-pigeon racer from England, and I can offer valuable insights and guidance on all aspects of pigeon racing, from breeding to racing. During my racing days, I managed a small team of no more than 70 pigeons, including stock, young birds, and old birds. It was not uncommon for me to send as few as 6 birds to a race and still secure the top 3 positions out of up to 2,500 pigeons in my club and federation. My race distances typically ranged up to 300 miles, and I consistently achieved top 5 placements in my club. My expertise extends to the art of selecting excellent breeders, including evaluating pigeons based on their eye-sign characteristics. I firmly believe that true champions can only be bred from top-quality stock, and I can guide you in identifying and acquiring such pigeons. I understand that many pigeons for sale are advertised based on their lineage or pedigree, but I emphasize the importance of assessing the bird itself rather than relying solely on paperwork. As part of my offer, I invite you to share photos of your pigeons, including their eye-sign and wing characteristics. I'll provide you with free advice on racing and breeding based on my extensive experience and knowledge. Additionally, I will share auction links to high-quality breeding birds that have the potential to produce winners in your loft. Here's what you can expect to receive from me: a comprehensive Word document containing valuable insights and strategies for successful pigeon racing, including specific racing methods for both old and young birds, as well as general advice. Private YouTube videos sent to your email, covering various aspects of pigeon racing, from breeding to race preparation. Detailed recommendations on supplements and additives to add to your pigeon's drinking water, with scientific evidence supporting their effectiveness. Similar products are used by professional athletes and racehorses to enhance performance. Assurance that your pigeons will race home faster, provided that you have quality birds to begin with. While I can provide guidance, it's essential to start with pigeons of good genetic quality. Guidance on feeding schedules and methods, tailored from Sunday to Saturday, to optimize your pigeon's performance. The understanding that there are no big secrets or magical products that guarantee success in pigeon racing. Instead, success hinges on developing a racing system that suits your loft and pigeons. I'm committed to providing full support even after you receive this information, as I want to see you succeed in pigeon racing. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need further assistance. Remember, the key to winning in pigeon racing lies in knowledge, dedication, and continuous improvement.